Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets. Chapter 1. Can't cultivate immortals. When Wang Che was conscious, he felt his face sticky. Seems to be wrapped in something. Soft. This comfortable feeling is something that Wang Che, who has been single for tens of thousands of years, has never enjoyed. He was startled. Could it be that this is the legendary Washian pond that he will enter after ascending? Can wash away a mortal body and become that pure and transparent immortal body. I survived the catastrophe, was thinking, was accompanied by a peculiar weak energy injection. The dusty memory in his mind gushes out. Wang Che suddenly opened his eyes. Suddenly regained consciousness. I saw a small turquoise bug about the size of a child's palm next to his head, spitting out white stuff on his face. I took a closer look and discovered that it was white silk. It's just that the vomit is too thick, so it feels slimy. This little bug is quite cute, with a big head and short body. On that huge head, there are two glass bead-like eyeballs. The body is green, but the abdomen is pale yellow. There are 4 small white drum bags on the head and on the torso. This style of painting can also be reflected in Wang Che's current state. An ordinary green bug. If this is the legendary upper immortal realm, then my own tens of thousands of immortals will have cultivated in vain. Wang Che was silent for a moment. Also, how could he who failed to cross the catastrophe go to the immortal world? It's okay if you fail. Wang Che took a deep breath, flicked his finger, and snapped the green bug on the side of his head to the distance. The little green worm rolled round, and finally lay on its back on the ground. Showed a pale yellow belly, tumbling left and right, but couldn't turn it over. It tilted its head and looked at Wang Che with a confused look. It's just a failure to cross the catastrophe. Wang Che didn't look at the little green insect again. His eyes showed a firm light. I still have tens of thousands of years of experience in cultivating immortals, and I still have endless cultivating techniques, supernatural powers, and practice. Or at Diangxiangland, everything is available. I have been to and have learned about countless civilizations. Even in the era of the end of the magical spirit, like Xiaolanqiu, I have the confidence to re-practice to Diangxiangland. In this life, I must climb into the fairyland. Renewed his conviction, and Wang Che began to straighten out the memory in his mind. Wuhun. This is the world of Wuhun. Duluo. Still a warrior. I know this well. I've stayed in Little Blue Ball for thousands of years. Soul beast, soul pet, Chi soul master. Wait, there seems to be something wrong. It doesn't matter, as long as there is aura. The memory gradually became clear. Wang Che understood roughly what kind of world this is. The humans in the ancient times in this world awakened their martial soul power because of the soul power between heaven and earth. At the same time, the world also has many big creatures. These creatures are nourished by the soul power between heaven and earth, and they are naturally very powerful and have a long lifespan. And these are called soul beasts. Human beings rely on slaughtering soul beasts, acquiring soul rings and soul skills, and enhancing their own martial arts. Soul beasts rely on slaughter of humans, obtain martial souls, and carry out mutation evolution. From the beginning of the birth of mankind, tens of thousands of years of development history, there are endless disputes. Numerous wars broke out between humans and soul beasts. To remember this, Wang Che is still familiar with it. It changed about 3,000 years ago. The world has changed, the barriers of the world are torn apart, and the ghosts and dark beasts of the different world attack in a big way. Humans and soul beasts have been slaughtered. When the world was on the verge of extinction, the two came to their senses, and finally united to create a life-soul contract, and the combination burst out with a powerful force. Rebirth in destruction, resurrection in death. In the end, the invaders in another world were repelled, and the world returned to a beautiful one, after 1,000 years of development. Only now, the level of civilization is similar to the Little Blue Ball I've been to. It's just that the soul master, soul pet, is the main theme of today. Human beings rely on signing a life contract with soul beasts to increase their lifespan and qualifications, obtain soul rings, cultivate martial souls, and strengthen themselves. At the same time, it uses the power of its own martial soul and soul to help the soul beast expand its spiritual intelligence and evolve it, and cultivate the soul beast to quickly become stronger. Humans and soul beasts have become partners. So, now it has become a soul beast Pokemon. There is a big difference. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I am a cultivator. Wang Che understood the world simply. He glanced at the green caterpillar. It seemed that he signed a life soul contract with the green caterpillar not long ago. He is currently 18 years old in this life, and the next semester of high school, and according to national regulations, he can sign a life and soul contract with a soul beast at the age of 18. During the winter vacation of the last semester of high school, countries generally choose a soul pet egg. If you are lucky, it is possible to hatch a rare soul pet. But did you give it away? Most of the hatched soul pets are ordinary soul pets. If you don't want it, you can buy it at the soul beast cultivation base. The price is generally higher. Ordinary families cannot afford it. After signing the life soul contract with the soul pet egg, the infant soul pet that has not yet been born inside will transfer part of its life energy to the human side. In order to improve the innate aptitude of the human spirit and the lifespan of the acquired, human beings will give part of their soul energy to their infant soul pets. In order to ensure that the infant soul pet directly activates a certain spiritual intelligence and gains wisdom after being born. It is precisely for this reason that the dusty memory of the great monk climbing in the fairyland in his soul can be touched and awakened. After all, he failed to cross the catastrophe. Wang Che only remembered that he had only a strand of soul left, drifting in the universe, and then he didn't know which world he was born in. Memory also stopped at that time. The cause and effect, everything is clear. At this time, the door was suddenly opened, and a tall, middle-aged man with a bit of vicissitudes in his face walked in. Seeing the green caterpillar being pushed away, the middle-aged man frowned slightly and said slowly, "Little Che, I know that your soul pet egg hatched the hottest, ordinary green caterpillar. You are very unhappy and dissatisfied. But no matter how dissatisfied, you can't treat your soul pet like this. What's more, you haven't awakened your martial soul. If you properly cultivate this green caterpillar and strengthen your previous life contract, your innate soul power aptitude will improve. If you can awaken your martial soul, you can become a soul master in the future. But you treat your green caterpillar like this now, waiting for the third year of high school graduation. Your innate spirit power aptitude can't be raised, and when you graduate, the spirit of martial arts will not be awakened too well." Throughout the ages, the first soul pets with ordinary soul pets, and many have become titled heavenly kings. For example, the Jade Dragon Heavenly King, his first soul pet was Koi, a purely ornamental soul pet. But later, when he became the King of Heaven, that Koi had evolved into a super dragon soul pet, the White Jade Dragon, leaping over the Dragon Gate. So, half a year before graduation, that you have to work hard. The more the middle-aged man said, the lower his voice, probably because he thought his example was a bit outrageous. I still know what the material of my son is. And that Koi can evolve into a white jade dragon has a history, there are ways to find. Although the conditions are extremely demanding, there are great requirements for the spirit of Chi Soul Master, and countless various materials are needed. But it is not impossible. But this green caterpillar. Forget it, I blame your dad. I'm useless. The middle-aged man finally sighed, there is no money to buy you a better soul pet egg. Seeing this, Wang Che thought for a while, and said, it's okay. In fact, green caterpillars are also good. Quote. The middle-aged man was stunned, and gave Wang Che a suspicious look. Looked around for a moment, and saw that Wang Che hadn't changed. After a few seconds of silence, he nodded and said, very well, if you can think about it this way, Dad is relieved. After thinking about it, he said again, in half a month, you are about to start school. Maybe you will see many other young soul pets beside your usual classmates. Don't compare, treat with a normal heart, knowing. Wang Che nodded. I will start cultivating immortals tonight, no matter what your soul pets are with a soul master. Wang Che said in his heart. If it were not for his excellent temperament, he might not have returned to this middle-aged man, that is, his father in this life. In the immortal civilization, especially the level of climbing the fairyland in front of him, most of them are old monsters who have forgotten the world and lived for tens of thousands of years. Don't say too much forgiveness. The emotional threshold is also high above the sky. Even if it is a rebirth of a fleshy fetus, it will not have many other feelings. Wang Che is different. He has cultivated for tens of thousands of years. He likes to travel the universe and observe other civilizations. He prefers to blend into those civilizations and experience the beauty of various civilizations and different emotions. In this way, I want to feel the different avenues of the heavens. It's a pity that the avenue was touched, but it fell into the cosmic catastrophe. Wang Zhengguo saw that Wang Che was so calm, he was relieved and worried at the same time. But he knew that it was useless to say more at this time, so he went out. Before long, the dark night covered the sky outside like a curtain. Wang Che looked through the window and looked at the stars in the sky. His mind became calmer and calmer. He didn't start cultivating immortals the first time, but based on the memory of 18 years in his mind to understand the situation of the world. The spirit power in this world is very abundant. Means that the energy must be strong. Yu reading www.yuakanshu.com is definitely not the era of the end of the law. Then he settled, focused, and prepared for the cultivation of immortality. On the way, the green caterpillar climbed to Wang Che's side many times, and then was pushed away by Wang Che. He just wants to cultivate immortals now. It's time to start. Single quote. Wang Che's state of mind is like an ancient well without waves, and his state has been adjusted to the most perfect state. See. Single quote. The green caterpillar wriggled its body, then climbed to Wang Che's side, arching Wang Che's already curled thigh with his head. Looking at Wang Che with big eyes and a little longing. Go away, I have no time to talk to you now. Wang Che knew what the green caterpillar wanted to do. This child has just been born, because of the soul deed of life, the spiritual wisdom has been developed, and he probably wants to play with him for a while. Was rejected by his Chi soul master again, and the green caterpillar walked away silently, looking back 3 steps. Looking at Wang Che from a distance, his originally erected body gradually softened, and then turned over, revealing his pale yellow belly, looking at the ceiling with some unlovable feelings. Wang Che began to practice. He chose the best Qi training method in his mind. Began to enter a state of cultivation. He was already very familiar with all this. Until, a few hours later, the sky is slightly white and white. A beautiful day is approaching. However, Wang Che opened his eyes, his body collapsed, his eyes were empty and he looked at the ceiling with a look of lovelessness. After one night of cultivation, he finally understood one thing. In this world, you cannot cultivate immortals. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets too. Chapter 2. It Dosen and Hash 039, T matter if this immortal Dosen and Hash 039, T repair it for the time being. Gu tilde, cuckoo tilde, a crisp chirp sounded from outside the door. That's the soul pet of the sky, the cuckoo bird's retribution. Indicates that it is already 6 o'clock in the morning. Cuckoo bird is Wang Ma's soul pet, a kind of ordinary soul pet that is easy to feed. Is mostly used in civilian households. Wang Che opened the door like a walking dead and walked out. Hearing this voice, the basic information about this soul pet appeared in his mind subconsciously. Cuckoo bird. Flying soul pet, with gray feathers all over, with long feathers on the head and tail. The difference is that the long tail clusters and feathers of the head perceive the changes in time, and the long feathers of the tail can feel the changes of various air currents and can predict the weather. The cuckoo bird, about 20 or 30 centimeters long, flew outside Wang Che's door. Muttered, reminding Wang Che that it was time to get up to eat. Seeing Wang Che coming out, the cuckoo bird flew into the living room with its wings flapping. How did you think about it last night? Dad Wang watched Wang Che walk out on time and was taken aback. During winter vacation, I basically never saw my son get up so early. I didn't sleep until the sun went down, and I slept until the sun was basking. The child is already 18, so don't ask too much. Mother Wang, who was preparing breakfast, said, come and eat quickly. By the way, Xiao Che, didn't you say that you are going to play outside with your classmates today? Wang Che nodded silently and said nothing. His parents in this life are quite ordinary. Even if he signed a life soul contract with the soul pet egg, he couldn't awaken the martial soul in the end. If it were placed in other worlds, it would no longer be ordinary but horrible. However, in this world, Wuhun has not fully awakened, and it is not very rare. The power of Wuhun, even now, is still a key research topic in countless countries, and has not yet been thoroughly studied. Can only sum up some laws based on historical records and many research results. Everyone has martial arts, but they may not be awakened. The awakened martial spirit form has a certain inheritance relationship with the blood of parents and ancestors. But it just has a certain relationship, not decisive. The reason is simple: the soul deed of life. When the vitality of the soul beast is given to humans, the potential martial souls that have not yet awakened human beings may change due to their innate aptitude. The awakened spirit will have a chance to break away from the bloodline and evolve into other spirits. Especially before awakening. After awakening, although the human innate aptitude can still be improved, it is very difficult for Wuhun to change. Therefore, generally the first soul pet is more critical. Moreover, the soul bond of the first life can be lifted. But after it is released, the soul pet will be released, and it will take at least 3 years before the soul deed can be carried out again. Otherwise, the human soul power cannot withstand the life-soul contract. In addition, there are many side effects when the soul contract is lifted. For example, the natural affinity of soul beasts to humans will be greatly reduced, and the difficulty of signing a life-soul contract again will be greatly increased. Generally, after signing the life-soul contract, very few humans release the soul contract. Because even the weak and ordinary soul beasts have a lot of improvement to human beings. It's just that Wang Che is not interested in these. What's wrong with the 18? Dad Wang said vigorously. 1,000 years ago, 18 is indeed an adult. But now, the average life expectancy of ordinary people is more than 102, and 18 is equivalent to the previous one. Only in his early 10 years old. It's a little one. Are you looking for a fight? Mother Wang glared at Dad Wang. I said now, you told me before. Wang Che was silent, as if he hadn't heard them talking. At this moment, in Wang Che's room, the green caterpillar crawled out in a daze. Climbed to Wang Che's feet, tilted his head, glanced at Wang Che, and subconsciously withdrew a few steps. Oh, my child, hurry up, where is this child's breakfast? Father Wang coughed a few times, pointed at the green caterpillar, and immediately changed the subject. Mother Wang glared at Dad Wang, walked to the kitchen, and brought out a small bowl of pale white leaves exuding milky flavor. Come on, this is the leaves of the white birch cedar. It is the leaf that you insect babies like to eat the most. Mother Wang walked to the green caterpillar and put down the bowl of leaves. Some pets touched the green caterpillar's head with her fingertips. It's so cute. It's not pretty at all. Cuckoo tilde cuckoo. The cuckoo bird on the wooden fence wailed dissatisfiedly. Dad Wang looked at the dozen white leaves and opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything. The green worm first sniffed, and the initially confused and low eyes lit up immediately. See Wu. The green worm struck Wang Ma, blinked, and then got into the leaves. Look, this little guy is quite smart. Mother Wang was surprised. Is it thanking me? The spirituality is so high. It must be very unusual. Pharaoh, right. It may also mean asking if you want to eat with it. Dad Wang said. Are you itchy today? Ma Wang looked at Dad Wang. Dad Wang coughed a few times. At this time, Wang Che said, I'm full. After said, he walked back to the room quietly. No way. Dad Wang shook his head. The soul pet of the green worm is inferior to your cuckoo bird. You are so comforting and useless. Yesterday he was very calm and told me it's okay. Dad Wang sighed. I knew it, it's not that simple. I was so disheartened this morning. The child's first soul pet is too important. At this age, I can't stand it on anyone, and I can't hide my emotions. You said that neither of us can awaken our spirits, and our talents are so poor. Now that my son's initial soul pet is not strong enough, I am afraid it will be the same as us. Wang's father was worried. If you want to become a soul master, you can only dream. He is so good at school. Let's go with the flow. Mother Wang also sighed slightly, and turned to look at the green caterpillar. This child is actually quite good. Wang Che is indeed desperate. As a former cultivator in Wonderland, he couldn't even bring the air into his body after one night of cultivation. This is enough for Wang Che to understand. In this world, there is no way to cultivate immortals. The reason is very simple, the rules. There are powerful rules bound between heaven and earth. Specifically, soul power is not aura, and cannot be applied to any cultivation technique or system. Can't practice in the body. At first, Wang Che thought it was the reason for the spiritual root aptitude. This body does not have spiritual roots, but without spiritual roots, it is impossible to achieve even the basic entrainment of qi into the body. Later, he directly chose the extremely overbearing magical way to practice qi, the kind of overbearing method that can forcibly grab the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the body. But this also doesn't work, and he can't *** his soul power into his body. Then it can only show that this world has rules for the formation of the will of heaven. Is not simple. If Wang Che has the strength to climb into the fairyland, it doesn't matter. It's a pity, under the cosmic catastrophe, everything is gone, it is not bad that he can leave a trace of remnant soul and rebirth. The cruel fact is that Wang Che is also a little uncomfortable. Reading www.uakanshu.com. So that when I was awakened by the cuckoo bird, I felt a little lost. After returning to the room, Wang Che closed his eyes and his mood gradually calmed down. Can't cultivate immortals, it's okay. Shoxian is just asking for the truth. There are endless avenues in the universe. Cultivation in the realm of immortality, none of the great monks who can practice ascend to the realm of immortality are mediocre. Wang Che quickly adjusted his mentality and emotions. He has encountered too many setbacks, which is nothing. First understand this world in detail for a period of time. The cultivation technique of immortality cannot apply soul power, then I will create a technique suitable for cultivation of soul power according to the rules of this world. Wang Che opened his eyes. With his previous experience and strength, he has traveled the universe for thousands of years and witnessed many civilized realms. Naturally will not be bound by the rules of civilization. They come, the security. Thinking of this, Wang Che first washed, put on his clothes, and looked at himself in the mirror. I saw a teenager standing around 1.8 meters tall, wearing white slacks and a light blue shirt. He is slender and well-proportioned, with crisp short hair, handsome and sunny features, dark eyes with a bit of deep light, and every inch of the white face is just right. Is definitely a handsome boy who can kill all ages. Wang Che shook his head and frowned slightly. It's not good, I was also the face of the immortal world back then, this, barely only 1% of my level back then. I can barely see it. Wang Che opened the door and walked out again. According to the memory in my mind, today, it seems that I asked some classmates to go out to play. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets 3. Chapter 3, titled King. Walking out of the room, Wang Che was seeing his mother teasing the green caterpillar. Pharaoh, let's take a leave of absence later, let's take Xiao Che and this child out to relax. Didn't the kid ask his classmates to go out to play? I know, but do you know where to go? It's a soul pet cultivation base. He has a few classmates and friends, but they all plan to go to the soul pet cultivation base to purchase soul pet eggs. Xiao Che's going there will be in a bad mood by then. Isn't it bigger? Where can I stand it? Hey, I forgot about it. All right, the two are communicating. Wang Che walked out. No need, Wang Che said. Quote. Two people, I'll go out later. Wang Che glanced at the two, his eyes calm. Little Che, are you okay? Wang Ma gave Wang Che a surprised look. I was so devastated just now, how could it be done so quickly? I'm fine. A smile appeared on Wang Che's face. Then what happened when you ate just now? Father Wang felt that Wang Che at this time was somewhat similar to yesterday. I had a nightmare last night. Wang Che said casually, not because of soul pets. That's it. Dad Wang suddenly realized, what nightmare did you do? I lost my soul in the morning. Wang Che glanced at his father, thought for a while and said. In your dream, you always tell me that you are actually the hidden titled king of the 7th war zone of the Martial Spirit Federation. You experience life hidden in the red dust. Father Wang was taken aback when he heard the words, and then he looked shocked and delighted, and said, there is still such a good dream. Why have I never dreamed of it? No, it is a good dream. Why is it a nightmare? Wang Che said again, just when I was happy, then you told me that I was not your own, but I picked it up. I have no blood relationship with you. Dad Wang was stunned, and then nodded suddenly, that is indeed a nightmare, no wonder you were lost. Wang Ma also nodded and suddenly realized. Titled Heavenly King is the affirmation of the strongest soul master from the Wuhun Federation in today's world. Is a symbol of glory and strength. Is the object that all Qi soul masters respect and yearn for. If you have the blood of a heavenly king, the awakened spirit will never be too bad. There is no blood relationship. Then this child, will you take it? Wang Ma poked the green caterpillar's tender head. Of course. Wang Che looked at the green caterpillar, it is my soul pet. As he said, Wang Che knelt down, touched the green caterpillar, and opened his palm. Si Wu. The green caterpillar shrank back, first touched Wang Che's finger with his head, and was sure it would not be bounced away. It squirmed happily on Wang Che's palm. The bead-like eyes were also bent, with a happy expression on his face. Wang Che sighed in his heart. Put the child in his chest pocket. Pets, he has really received a lot of pets in his previous life. Anyone, it's all the existence of the **** beast level in the immortal world. Such a week. It doesn't matter, Wang Che told himself in his heart that this is not a problem. Walking out of the house, the fresh air in the morning can shock people who are sleepy. Wang Che took a deep breath and looked at the blue sky and tall buildings outside. The location where he lives is just an ordinary community. The green environment is not bad. Is planted with silver flowers, which are not only beautiful in appearance, but also purify the dirty air and exude a fresh fragrance. Is the first choice for green plants in most cities. Of course, the normal silver flower is not a soul beast, but a special kind of plant. In addition, the trees planted around are Yuntong woods. This kind of cloud paulownia has a straight trunk in a lavender color, and its leaves are as white as clouds from a distance. At night, those branches and leaves still have good lighting effects. Is not only beautiful, but also very practical. Similarly, the normal Yuntongmu is not a soul beast. Just a special kind of plant. Walking out of the community, I can see many people walking around with soul pets on the road. Among the soul pets that Wang Che saw, most of them were actually quite ordinary. Rare, and some can be seen. After all, it is not impossible for ordinary families to grit their teeth and buy a rare soul pet egg for their children. Walking to the floating station, Wang Che rode a magnetic levitation. After more than 20 stations, he arrived at the only soul beast breeding base in his city. There is only one highly centralized organization in the world today. Wuhun Federation. Under the Federation, 7 major war zones are divided. Every war zone is equivalent to a country. In the war zone, there are their own continent cities. The city where Wang Che is currently located is Tianxin City in Shuozhou, Donghua Theater. The shape in front of me is as big as a bird's nest, built on the hillside. Is the base of Tianxin Soul Beast. Shuozhou has high mountains and dense forests. The soul beasts that inhabit are also dominated by the sky system, the mountain rock system, the vegetation system, and the insect system. Wang Che, you can count on coming. I thought you wouldn't come anymore. Immediately after getting off the maglev train and before reaching the entrance of the base, Wang Che heard a sound. The base is very large, and there is a huge square at the entrance, where various soul pets can be seen everywhere. There are all kinds of flowers and plants in the shape of a top. There is a kangaroo with a body like a kangaroo and its muscles are like rocks. There is a flying eagle that soars in the sky with its wings stretched out like wings. There is even an unusually rare half-humanoid elemental spirit pet, Zanjin Suji. There are countless soul pets, enough to dazzle any teenager. There are still many soul pets that Wang Che could not name in his 18 years of memory. Tianxin Soul Pet Base is not just for selling baby soul beast eggs. It is also a research base in itself. The green caterpillar in Wang Che's breast pocket, Yu reading www.yuakanshu.com also showed half of his head, looking at the countless soul beasts. There are bright eyes, especially when I look at the soul beast soaring in the sky, my eyes are full of intoxication. Why, don't you look silly? Gradually came the voice. It was a sniffy young man with a small head, slightly shorter than Wang Che. Shu Haifeng, Wang Che's classmate and friend. It's okay. Wang Che waved his hand. I admire your calm look. Shu Haifeng patted Wang Che on the shoulder, but, to be honest, I think you are a pity. Shu Haifeng looked at the green caterpillar on Wang Che's chest, he stopped talking, and finally he didn't say much. Let's go in and take a look. Shu Haifeng said again, today we are lucky. Several soul pet professors from the base are there. That person has made an appointment with one of them, Professor Yan. These few in our class can be considered as friends. Light up. Soul pet base, you can choose your own soul pet eggs. There are usually professional researchers who personally select and match soul pet eggs for buyers. The price is naturally not low. And if you choose a character with the status of a professor, then the soul pets you choose are basically excellent and very suitable for you. Whether it is the first soul pet or the second soul pet. But, not everyone can hire a professor from the Soul Beast base. That's not a question of money anymore. That, Wang Che was slightly startled. Why, you signed the life soul contract, your head is confused. Shu Haifeng coughed a few times and said a name, Lin Shi. She is here too. Let's go, if you don't go, those guys will be impatient. Shu Haifeng led Wang Che towards the gate of the Soul Beast base. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets 4. Chapter 4. Sacrifice the ego and become the ego. The inside of the Soul Beast base is very large. There are several areas in it. Sales area, battle area, Soul Pet Recovery Center, Research Area, Exhibition Area, etc. Has 6 floors. The first 5 floors are open to the public, and the last floor is the governing area of the base, which is not open to the public. Several major areas, the largest number of people, is not the sales area. But against the war zone. There are really many people in the battle zone on the 3rd floor. Shu Haifeng raised his head and stared at the battle zone on the 2nd floor with hot eyes. For us, it's not far. Battle is one of the hottest topics among Chi Soul Masters today. For high school students who have just started to cultivate soul pets, and even their martial souls have not yet awakened. Is indeed not far. Wang Che took a look, then withdrew his gaze. What he is more interested in now is other unknown information about this world. Sales area. Inside, there are a dazzling array of soul pet eggs. These pet eggs are all labeled, stating what kind of baby soul pet eggs are. And the detailed price usually starts with 10,000 yuan, and the 10,000 yuan here is similar to Xiaolanzhou's renminbi purchasing power at the beginning of the 21st century. Expensive is expensive, but it is not unaffordable. The soul pet eggs on the Soul Beast base are all born by professional soul beast breeders who carefully take care of the breeding of various soul beasts. Even if the soul pet eggs are very similar in appearance, they can clearly distinguish these young soul pet eggs, kind of. Most of the free soul pet eggs issued by the Federation are the same. For you, even your teacher can hardly tell in detail what kind of soul beast will be born inside. Especially the eggs laid by the soul beasts are very similar, and it is difficult to distinguish them from their appearance and patterns. If an unknown special soul beast egg is discovered, a variety of advanced instruments are needed to detect the life fluctuations inside the egg species to make inferences. That is one of our soul pet base research. In our research and display area, there are currently as many as 10 unknown soul pet eggs. We have not fully studied them yet. You can go and take a look at that time. In front, there was an old and hearty voice. Wang Che followed the sound to see that it was an old man in his 60s and 70s wearing a white research suit. The old man has snow-white hair, but his face is full of energy, his eyes are piercing, and he wears a pair of glasses, smiling and explaining to the dozen students around him. That's Professor Yan, Shu Haifeng said. Does it look young? He looks like 60 or 70. In fact, he is nearly 120 years old. He is also a soul master, but mainly engaged in scientific research. He is a research soul master. It's very young. Wang Che could feel the life of this old man, and it was still very vigorous. He can't cultivate immortality now, can't draw the breath into the body to temper his whole body, and the divine consciousness is nowhere in sight. But the basic perception and intuition of the great monk Nadeng Wonderland is still there. Is extremely sensitive to the fluctuations of the energy of heaven and earth. May not be able to perceive the details, but this old man is obviously extraordinary. Even if it is not Wang Che, any ordinary person can subconsciously feel that the other person is not simple, and he exudes a special temperament. I said you guys, don't wait for us. Shu Haifeng walked over and greeted a few people with a smile. Wang Che is here. The dozen or so students turned around and looked at them, especially the green caterpillar with its head exposed in Wang Che's breast pocket. Looks different for a time. There is a pity for the same disease, and he holds a baby soul pet in his arms. There are those who are welcome with a smile, there are those who are silent, there are those who laugh unconsciously, and there are those who are very excited. Brother Che, as a top student, you never thought that your luck would be worse than mine. As an ugly girl, my heart is balanced. Have you seen him? He looks so handsome. How did he come? I got it in exchange for luck. Starting green caterpillar, yes, Brother Che. 28 people in our class chose free soul beast eggs. No matter how common they hatch, they are only koi with a racial potential of 100. You green caterpillars do not break 100. His racial potential is not simple. The ordinary soul pet eggs issued by the Federation, according to the current statistics on the internet, the probability of incubating rare soul pets with a race potential of more than 200 or more is 4%. And a soul pet with a race potential of less than 100, the probability is it's 5%. Round up, your luck is also equivalent to a rare soul pet. ... More than a dozen classmates laughed and greeted. They all smiled and said hello, but behind the smiles, there was not much ridicule, but mostly ridicule. And in that ridicule, there was still a bit of sadness and sigh. Is mainly because Wang Che is very popular in school for his outstanding appearance and excellent grades. The first soul pet hatched now is a green caterpillar, which is too subversive. In the winter vacation of the third year of high school, it is basically necessary to sign a life soul contract and hatch the first soul pet egg. Prepare for the Wuhun awakening in half a year. Most of the winter vacation has passed, and most of the students who have chosen free soul pet eggs have hatched their first soul pets. Wang Che smiled, and communicating with such a young child gave him the illusion that he had just embarked on the road of cultivating immortality. Actually, it is true. According to the probability guarantee theory, who has the worst chance of guaranteeing the bottom? Then the other 28 students will definitely be able to incubate good soul pets. Wang Che changed his mentality and said righteously, sacrifice the ego, achieve the great self. The great monk who has lived for tens of thousands of years, has a very powerful control over everything. Not to mention, Wang Che has been involved in the civilization of many life species during his cosmic travels. Are many non-human creatures, and Wang Che can easily blend into them. District students, naturally, it's not a problem. When the rest of the people heard this, they were taken aback for a while and went silent. Fuck, Shu Haifeng smiled and punched Wang Che. At this time, you reading www.uakanshu.com can still pretend to be silky smooth and smooth, deceiving our feelings, you deserve it. I am so touched. Brother Che, if you don't mind your gender, I can. Hey, Brother Che, I hate that it's not my daughter. ... While the group was laughing, Professor Yan looked at Wang Che and laughed when he heard the children talking and laughing. You are Wang Che, right? You have a good mentality. If you can't awaken the spirit in the future, come to my spirit beast base. When everyone heard this, they were a little surprised. This is an olive branch. Is not simple, the treatment of this soul beast base is not generally good. Ordinary people really can't get in. Even if it is a soul master, there are conditions required. As soon as we met, a professor could throw an olive branch, which is not normal. Wang Che shook his head and said, Professor Yan, I observed it when I came here. Most of the researchers in this base are women. You are throwing an olive branch. Isn't it because you want to invite me to come in and ease the situation in your base? The pressure of yin and yang decline. Then I don't want to do it. Professor Yan was taken aback when he heard the words, and then he laughed a few times. That's a nice boy, but you didn't expect my thoughts to be guessed by you. When the rest of the students heard this tone, they suddenly realized that they were joking. Shu Haifeng shook his head secretly. He felt that Professor Yan was serious, but he was cleverly confused by Wang Che in a few words. This guy is still so witty and smart, Shu Haifeng said in his heart. He actually knows that it should be Professor Rang Yan who said so. The purpose is very simple. It is to give Wang Che a good way out in the future. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets 5. Unable to cultivate, I can only raise soul pets. Chapter 5. 0 million year soul pet. Then a group of people followed Professor Yan in the sales area while listening to the introduction of these various soul beast eggs. While choosing his favorite soul pet egg, Professor Yan has a kind tone, without any professor's pretensions, and he speaks in great detail. The history of many soul beasts can come together. The future growth direction of various soul pet eggs, how to cultivate soul masters, how to improve the intimacy of the two sides, etc., are all very detailed. Is awesome and knowledgeable. Sometimes it was even more witty words, which made everyone laugh. Not long, everyone chose the same. Professor Yan, say it seriously. Wang Che said suddenly, "Do you think the green caterpillar has no potential?" Professor Yan smiled and said, "Theoretically, no." The last two simple words seemed to negate everything. The green caterpillar on Wang Che's chest suddenly glanced at Professor Yan a little restlessly. Wang Che immediately touched the little guy's head, which calmed him down, staring wide-eyed, and looking at Professor Yan. "It is very intelligent and enlightened." Professor Yan glanced at Green Caterpillar with a little surprise. "It shows that your soul power is slightly stronger than ordinary people. But the Green Caterpillar racial potential is too low." The racial potential is the result of so many years. Countless scientific researchers have studied the evolution and growth of soul beasts. Basically there will not be much change, especially the green caterpillar soul pet. You also learned the basic theory of soul beast evolution in high school. The green caterpillar in the form of a soul pet will evolve into a green butterfly when it is cultivated for about 10 years. The green U butterfly is the final evolutionary form it is currently known. And the green U butterfly race potential is not high. About 200, according to acquired cultivation, the fluctuation does not exceed 10 points. The basic difference is not big. Speaking of this, Professor Yan paused and said, "I can also tell you a piece of news that a university may not know. Green caterpillars can mutate and evolve. There has been a special case in the Mingdu war zone in recent years. A martial arts spirit is the soul master of Yanling Shu. When I signed the soul deed for the second time, I chose a wild green caterpillar with a cultivation base of 3,000 years. Afterwards, due to the special power of the Yanling tree martial spirit, combined with this wild green caterpillar, it mutated and evolved into the Yanling insect king. The dual-line soul pet, in addition to its own insect system, also became a spiritual system." Soul pet. When everyone heard this, they suddenly exclaimed, "Spiritual soul pet." Among the many other soul pets, the spiritual soul pet is one of the special and powerful ones. Basically most of the spirit soul pets are not weak. This new type of soul pet, according to the research news from the Mingdu war zone, has a racial potential as high as 420. Among the rare soul pets, they are all middle and upper reaches. Professor Yan shook his head slightly. Unfortunately, after the rest of the war zone learned of this news, there was also a spiritual tree spirit master who had found a green caterpillar with a cultivation base of 3,000 years in the wild. After signing a life soul contract with him, there was no change. The specific reasons for the mutation and evolution are unknown. Furthermore, the difficulty of finding green caterpillars with 3,000 years of cultivation in the wild is not small. You can't awaken to the spirit of Yanlingshu. Because the spirit of Yanlingshu was inherited from the Mingdu war zone, it is in our east. There are only a handful of Chinese war zones. Professor-level characters, the stories told by everyone are enthusiastic. These news are relatively secret, and the school will naturally not know. In addition to the condition of Yanling tree martial soul, the soul master may have used other methods that we don't know. Our guess here is related to food. Professor Yan slowly said, "After all, the evolution of soul pets, in today's cutting-edge soul pet science world, they are all subjects that have been studied." These words made Wang Che very interesting. "So, there is really no possibility?" Shu Haifeng on the side couldn't help asking. Professor Yan smiled and asked, "What is the most basic rule in modern soul pet studies?" "Evolution is the only way for soul pets to break through life forms." A classmate replied. "That's right." Professor Yan nodded slightly. "Then, what are the two most critical factors in the evolution of soul pets?" "Wu Hun and Shu Wei," another student replied subconsciously. "This is the knowledge learned from high school soul pets." "Yes, Wu Hun and cultivation base." Professor Yan exclaimed, "Any evolutionary route is formed around two factors here. Normal cultivation base evolution, presumably you all know a little bit. Green caterpillars have cultivated their bases in 10 years to evolve green butterflies. Cuckoo birds have cultivated their bases in 30 years to evolve cuckoo birds, and they have cultivated their bases in 60 years to evolve wind gurglings. 100 flower beasts have evolved from their cultivation bases to 1,000-faced flower in 7 decades. It has evolved into a flower fairy for 40 years. A young feathered eagle has been cultivated for 200 years to become an evolved winged eagle, and so on. The mutation evolution is related to the spirit of martial arts. The spirit beasts in ancient times evolved through this method. The probability of slaughtering humans and obtaining the power of martial arts to evolve is still very low. Professor Yan glanced at Wang Che. The upper limit of green caterpillars is very low for the evolution of cultivation base. And mutation and evolution, you don't have the factors in it. Professor Yan said that. He did not continue. The students understand everything. Wang Che pondered for a moment and asked, if so, how about cultivating the green caterpillar to a higher cultivation level? How high? Professor Yan asked with a smile. Millions of years. Wang Che said a number he knew the most in his 18 years of memory. Everyone was silent. Yu reading www. Yuakanshu.com. Professor Yan also really froze for a long time. Was probably shocked by the answer Wang Che gave. Professor Yan was silent for a while, and did not answer directly. Instead, he asked slowly. Do you know why, in modern times, do we set the strength of soul pet cultivation based on the number of years? This knowledge is very remote. More than a dozen other classmates couldn't answer. Because in ancient times, the strength cultivation base of most soul beasts is basically equal to their lifespan. Wang Che replied, and the upper limit of lifespan is also the upper limit of soul beast cultivation. That's right. Professor Yan showed a smile. The ancient spirit beasts needed a long time to unlock the spiritual intelligence equivalent to humans. Most of the time, the spirit beasts could only passively absorb the spirit power between the heavens and the earth for a long time. It is impossible to awaken the spirit of martial arts and cultivate spirit power like human beings. So, their lifespan is linked to the number of years. The longer they live, the stronger their strength. 1,000,000 years is a limit. It is the limit of a soul beast in ancient times. This kind of soul beast, even if it does not live to 1,000,000 years, has lived for at least hundreds of thousands of years. But you know that a soul beast of this level, how many were there in ancient times? Wang Che shook his head slightly. I really don't know this. The school's knowledge has the concept of 1,000,000-year soul beast, and there are also examples. But there is no specific information. Professor Yan spread out a palm and made a cross. Known, about 100. Professor Yan did not give them a guess, and said, after the disaster of 3,000 years, only a dozen offspring have survived. In other words, if there is no living soul deed, the theory on top, in the entire world now, there are only a dozen soul beasts that can cultivate to the limit of millions of years. There is no one in 1 billion.